一大三千大戦世界
In the world of anime, weapons come aplenty, but none of them seem more common than the good old sword. But not all swordsmen are created equally. For today's list, we're going to be going over some of the most absurd and overpowered masters of the sword that the anime world has given us. And to add an extra challenge, I'll be straying away by default from all those isekai and light novel characters because we know incomprehensibly overpowered characters are all the rage these days. So here we are, my gallery of some of the most overpowered swordsmen in anime. Let's open up with one of the OGs, Goemon. The Lupin series isn't exactly the first title that crosses anyone's mind when the topic shifts to overpowered characters, but can we take a step back and look at Goemon's insane feats? With Goemon, the show takes realism and throws it out the window in hilariously entertaining ways. I'm not just talking about one-man army moments, it showcases his skill, I'm sure, but what makes him overpowered is how his sword can just slice through anything. Literally. Airplanes, cars, trucks, anything. Heck, even meteors and lightning are no match against his almighty Zantetsuken. That's absurd in an entertaining, over-the-top way, if you ask me. Next up is another OG, Hiko Seijuro. It takes a monster of a man to be the master and mentor to the notorious Batosai, but that description doesn't exactly describe Hiko Seijuro now, does it? First impressions can be misleading, and while he does look cool and powerful, Seijuro doesn't seem to be an absolute top-tier fighter. Well, he's strong, but to the point where his involvement would have quickly ended the whole Shishio fiasco, but he is apparently that, and there's no one in Rurouni Kenshin who can even come close to this guy. It's just a shame that he doesn't have a lot of chances to show his actual prowess in the show. It's in the personality after all. He doesn't get too involved with the story and its events, but given that he's trained Kenshin and how he demolishes all competition when he does show up, it's clear as day that Hiko Seijuro is the most powerful character in Rurouni Kenshin. How about moving to something more modern? Wait, FMA has been around for almost 2 decades now? Anyway, here's King Bradley. Ah, the unstoppable King Bradley, owner of the all-seeing ultimate eye. But a broken ability does not a badass and overpowered swordsman make. For all the hype behind the powers of precognition, King Bradley as both a character and a fighter isn't solely defined by it. If it were me, I'd say that King Bradley strikes fear in the hearts of enemies due to his sheer skill in swordsmanship. Being a homunculus, he naturally has augmented physical abilities, agility, reflexes, all of that sort of stuff. He's not the biggest powerhouse the series has to offer, but he's by far one of the best duelists here, being able to turn numbers disadvantages into easy and memorable wins. Then you remember that ultimate eye I talked about? That more or less brings everything over the edge, and you can see how Bradley has maintained his hold over power for so long. It makes his eventual defeat all the more cathartic and built Scar up so much. We couldn't have this list without Guts too. Guts is just the type of character that oozes badass, edgy energy with his every movement. The design speaks for itself, and he fits seamlessly in the gritty, no-nonsense storytelling that Berserk gives us. I don't exactly know where to start with Guts because he just has so many moments worth talking about in the show. Probably the most popular amongst them is the one where he defeats 100 soldiers, a shining moment where he not only shows off his power, but his durability as well. Berserk's filled with badass characters, but none of them embody the word as much as Guts himself. Among the characters we've covered so far, he's by far the perfect raid boss, a pure juggernaut of power and hardiness. Afro Samurai's a cool one too. Afro Samurai is not too known, but who else can get a short anime series all meant to show how awesome he is? Yet the whole premise of Afro Samurai is his quest to be the strongest and how amazing he is in the road to glory. From the get-go, we get treated to a one-man army moment after another in a series that pulls no punches in depicting violence and how unstoppable Afro really is. In terms of having strength that's just impossible to wrap our heads around, I admit that Afro falls a bit short compared to someone like King Bradley, but that doesn't detract from how overpowered and badass he is. This is something you must see to believe. So head on over, start watching the show's 5 episodes, and be dazzled at the might of Afro Samurai. Bleach's poster child for overpowered swordsman, Genbachi. You know, part of me wanted to give the title to Aizen or Yuha from the upcoming 1000-year Blood War arc. However, the latter's manga exclusive for now, and the former feels like a mage in terms of fighting. However, in honest, brutal, no-holds-barred sword fights, without delving into the manga-only spoiler territory for to-be-revealed swordsmen and swordswomen, few can come close to Kenpachi. Kenpachi is the series' definition of an overpowered monster that's virtually impossible to stop. Whereas most Shinigami use magical powers from their swords, Kenpachi just prefers to face his battles head-on. Direct combat and getting down and dirty is his jam, and if we're going to let the anime's combat record speak, it's a pretty damn effective tactic, isn't it? Kenpachi hasn't really lost a single fight so far. Will the 1000-year Blood War arc be finally when Kenpachi finds his match? Let's wait and see. Does Levi count? Well, he's pretty overpowered as they come. He's not humanity's strongest soldier for nothing. It's been almost a decade since Levi first graced our screens with his jaw-dropping feats, and it's great that he's still going strong. He's still as overpowered as they come, and even in the latter seasons of Attack on Titan, you can see that he's pretty much a one-man army. Some people even go as far as to say that he's the one person single-handedly keeping the balance of power between humanity and Titans in check. We all know that Eren's the big star in the finale of Attack on Titan, but Levi's left quite a legacy in his wake. His Zeke battles are moments immortalized in every Attack on Titan fans' lives, and everyone knows how epic seeing him slice and dice his way to Titans will always be. But hey, April is the start of spring in Japan, so that means sakura, picnics, and flower viewing. It also leads to May, which is when the Japanese celebrate the prized first tea harvest of the year. That's why our sponsors Sakurako and Tokyo Treat are here to bring a double header for you. Sakurako and Tokyo Treat are subscription-based services that will deliver you some of the finest and most delicious Japanese snacks. Sakurako's theme this month is matcha and mochi, while Tokyo Treat will be bringing you a sakura picnic-themed box. The two boxes are similar yet different, with Sakurako mainly focusing on the more traditional side of Japanese snacks, and Tokyo Treat giving you a more modern experience. The former will be giving you a fair share of exclusive tea as well as matcha-themed manju, mochi, and such, with artisan chopsticks to top off the list. If you prefer modern, exclusive, and seasonal sweet sensations over matcha, however, perhaps the Tokyo Treat box is for you. I'm talking things like Kit Kat banana caramel and red bean loaves that you won't get anywhere else. I personally love the Pine Ame Sakura candy, which is made exclusively for Tokyo Treat subscribers. So check out the link in the description box and use code VINNY to get $5 off your first box. I guarantee you won't regret spending a cent on this super good deal. From the One Piece universe, the undisputed king of the sword is Mihawk. There's a good reason to fear Mihawk. Titled strongest swordsman in the world, his appearance alone strikes into his opponents a very powerful presence, but wait until you get to actually see what he's capable of. To wit, he's defeated Zoro handily, and you know, you're pretty badass to have dueled with Shanks multiple times. With those credentials under his belt, seeing him lay waste to entire fleets of ships or flexing his power against gigantic icebergs does seem like child's play, don't you think? The kicker? All his feats are of his own abilities and strength. He has no devil fruit, but I wouldn't blame you if you thought that he had one really. Let's save the most insane of them all for last, Utsuro. years of watching anime, I don't think that any anime swordsman comes close to Utsuro in terms of being overpowered. We're talking about a guy who can outright defy death here. Besides those gimmicks, Utsuro himself is as skilled as they come in combat. He's the type of person who would take on an entire protagonist party and come out on top without breaking a sweat. Considering how many top tier swordsmen Gintama has, I mean that's a feat by itself. But then you add all those immortality gimmicks, it's no wonder there's an entire arc about him wanting to die in a blaze of glory and having to take the whole universe with him. It does take a whole load of plot contrivances and combinations from the protagonists and allies to finally put him down, and that's just a testament to how broken he really is.
俺たちはあの怪物一人に滅ぼされる。
Who amongst these swordsmen is the most overpowered and badass of them all? You tell me. If you're interested in connecting through social media, head on over to the Discord channel where you can meet fellow anime fans and take part in occasional giveaways and events. Also, you can check out the ViniTube Instagram for news regarding the channel and the next videos. Oh, and Patreon and channel memberships are always open for those who prefer to support the channel through monetary means. It means so much to have your support, and it will help me make even more awesome videos in the future. That's it for today, and I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching.